History nearly silenced their names, but their echoes remain. Women who led hundreds in war, who turned the tide of pivotal battles with a single act of bravery, who advised war councils, and whose strategic brilliance was feared by their enemies. These were the forgotten warrior women of Native American nations, whose courage and sacrifice in the face of overwhelming odds defended their people's very existence. Why were their powerful stories buried, and what can they teach us now? 1. Weetamoo, the Saunkskwas of the Pocasset Wampanoag. In the mid-17th century, as tensions between New England's indigenous nations and English settlers intensified, a critical period emerged before the formation of the United States. This era culminated in King Philip's War, 1675 to 1678, a conflict marked by severe casualties relative to the population. This war represented a final effort by indigenous tribes to halt English encroachment. Weetamoo, a powerful Saunkskwas, or female leader, governed the Pocasset Wampanoag in present-day Massachusetts. She commanded hundreds of followers, including both warriors and non-combatants. Her inherited leadership position affirmed the accepted powerful role of women within Pocasset Wampanoag society. Weetamoo's commitment to indigenous autonomy solidified when her husband, Wamsuta, also known as Alexander, the brother of Metacom, King Philip, passed under suspicious circumstances after being summoned by the English. In 1675, Weetamoo joined the conflict alongside her allies and Metacom. She directly led warriors into engagements, participated in raid planning, and defended Pocasset homelands with resolve. Her forces notably participated in the assault on Lancaster, Massachusetts. Mary Rowlandson, an English captive, documented Weetamoo's resilience, acknowledging her authority while describing her as a proud and severe dame. Weetamoo's actions during the war were a direct defense of her people's right to live freely on their ancestral territories. She became a figure both feared by English forces and respected by indigenous nations, viewed by settlers as a rebel and by her own people as a protector. Her decision to ally with Metacom's broader resistance movement demonstrated strategic foresight. Weetamoo met her end by drowning in the Taunton River while evading an English assault. Her body was later subjected to a brutal act by the English. Her head was severed and displayed on a pole in Taunton, intended as a terror tactic against indigenous populations. This act highlighted the extreme violence of the conflict. Her demise encapsulated the harsh fate many indigenous leaders experienced, symbolizing the profound losses and the colonial efforts to dismantle indigenous cultures. Weetamoo lost her family, lands, and life in this struggle. The overall failure of King Philip's War devastated New England's indigenous communities. Despite this tragic conclusion, Weetamoo's spirit endures. She is remembered as one of the earliest indigenous women to lead her people in conflict, a potent voice for freedom. Her unyielding spirit persists through oral histories, place names, and ongoing historical research, standing as a symbol of resistance and a reminder of the historical dispossession of indigenous land and sovereignty. 2. Nonhelma, the Shawnee diplomat and warrior. Nonhelma, a Shawnee leader, stood over 6 feet tall, earning her the designation Grenadier Squaw from white observers due to her imposing stature. This moniker, while using a term that could be disparaging, acknowledged her formidable presence. She was recognized not only for her physical size but also for her strength, sagacity, and courage. Her actions unfolded in the latter half of the 18th century, a period of sustained conflict in the Ohio Valley, spanning from Pontiac's War to the American Revolution. This was a tumultuous era where control of the region was contested by the British, French, and later the United States, drawing indigenous tribes into the struggle. Pontiac's War 1763 to 1766 involved significant indigenous resistance against the British, while the American Revolution 1775 to 1783 placed tribes in a precarious geopolitical position. Nonhelma was a principal Shawnee leader in the Ohio Valley. She fought alongside her brother, Chief Cornstalk, in multiple engagements, including during Pontiac's War, to secure their ancestral lands. Cornstalk's attempts to establish peace with the Americans ended with his killing at Fort Randolph in 1777. Nonhelma herself proved to be a skilled diplomat. During the American Revolution, she initially sought to maintain Shawnee neutrality. When neutrality became untenable, she opted to support the Americans, a decision possibly based on strategic calculation or a belief in American promises. She transmitted warnings to American forts regarding impending attacks, acting as an intelligence agent and messenger. She provided critical information and logistical support. Post-war, she traveled to the United States Congress to advocate for the return of promised lands to her people, an action demonstrating her understanding of the U.S. political system and her persistent pursuit of indigenous rights. Her requests were largely disregarded, highlighting the pattern of treaty violations against indigenous nations. Nonhelma demonstrated that indigenous women could directly pursue justice on behalf of their communities. Her capacity to transition between roles as a warrior, diplomat, and advocate indicated a sophisticated understanding of adaptation. Raised within a threatened world, she mastered combat skills, yet recognized the value of diplomacy. Her petition to Congress underscored her willingness to engage with the opposing system to champion her people's cause. Nonhelma's life was a continuous struggle, yet she maintained unwavering hope. She remained a steadfast protector of the Shawnee, whether through armed conflict or through diplomatic engagement. Her story exemplifies the complex nature of indigenous leadership, encompassing the roles of warrior, diplomat, and rights advocate. Her narrative underscores the history of U.S. government betrayal of tribal nations. The Shawnee remember her as a woman who stood tall, not only in physical stature but also in honor and integrity. Her moral principles and uprightness were as crucial as her physical strength. Nonhelema's legacy emphasizes the centrality of character and leadership, with her actions defining her perceived honor. Honor remained a highly valued attribute among leaders. Her legacy persists, illustrating the enduring impact of a life lived with integrity. 3. Nanyehi, Nancy Ward, the Cherokee beloved woman. Nanyehi, known to settlers as Nancy Ward, emerged into prominence around 1755, following a significant battle against the Creek. Born approximately in 1738, she lived until 1822 or 1824, traversing a period of profound transformation for the Cherokee. This era included intertribal warfare, escalating conflicts with white settlers, the American Revolution, and concerted efforts towards Cherokee civilization and forced removal. A pivotal event occurred in 1755 when, at approximately 17 years old, her husband, Kingfisher, fell during the Battle of Talowa, a clash between the Cherokee and Creek. Nanyehi immediately seized his rifle, rallied the Cherokee warriors, and led a counterattack that secured a decisive victory. This action demonstrated her innate leadership qualities and exceptional courage. Her ability to inspire and re-engage warriors at a moment of near defeat was critical. The victory at Taliwa carried significant strategic implications. This moment of valor fundamentally altered Nanyehi's trajectory. Following her heroic actions, Nanyahhei was honored with the title Gihau, or Beloved Woman, the highest distinction within Cherokee society. This honor granted her tangible power within the Cherokee political and social structure. She held a seat on the Council of Women, where her voice carried decisive weight, including determining the fate of captives. The existence of the Council of Women and the Gihau's role indicated a gender-balanced power structure within Cherokee society. Even seasoned warriors listened to and respected her counsel. Nanyahhi's core message shifted towards peace. After years of conflict, she became a dedicated mediator, believing that Cherokee survival depended on both tactical defense and building bridges of understanding and cooperation. She leveraged her influential voice to safeguard Cherokee lands, advocated for peaceful agricultural practices, and warned against disadvantageous treaties. She courageously confronted American leaders, appealing for justice and respect. Her evolution from warrior to peacemaker was notable. Her wartime experiences likely solidified her resolve to seek peace. Her marriage to Bryant Ward, an Irish trader, following Kingfisher's passing, may have provided her with cultural insights into white society, facilitating her role as an intermediary. She introduced European agricultural techniques and animal husbandry to the Cherokee, aiming for economic adaptation. She consistently opposed further Cherokee land cessions to white settlers, notably delivering a powerful speech in 1781 at Long Island on the Holston River. Her narrative illustrates a significant shift in leadership style, moving from immediate courageous action to a sustained commitment to peace and tribal survival through diplomacy and adaptation. This demonstrated her capacity for development and deep awareness of the challenges facing her people. Her initial combat actions, while instinctive, earned her the Gihao title and established her authority. Recognizing that military power alone was insufficient, she reoriented her focus towards negotiation, mediation, and the selective adoption of white customs for survival and self-determination. She emerged as a leader capable of strategic adaptation. Despite American promises often being broken and her efforts not always yielding full success, Nanyehi's words carried weight, and her courage never diminished. To the Cherokee, she remains an enduring symbol of strength, wisdom, and the pursuit of peace. Her battlefield bravery garnered honor, but her foresight for the future and her efforts for peace cemented her lasting remembrance. Her story suggests that the most powerful warriors sometimes fight for peace. She stands as a significant historical figure for both the Cherokee people and broader American history. Her complex legacy, involving attempts at adaptation and reconciliation, may be viewed differently, but her intent consistently centered on protecting her people. Many of her descendants proudly trace their lineage to her. Nanyehi expanded the concept of a warrior to include persistent struggle for peaceful coexistence and justice. While her initial renown stemmed from combat, her enduring legacy is linked to her peace efforts. The skills and qualities of a warrior, courage, determination, resilience, could be applied to pursuing peace. Choosing a path of peace amidst conflict demanded a different, perhaps greater, kind of courage. Nanyehi broadened the definition of a warrior to encompass those who tirelessly fought for their people's survival and dignity through peaceful means. 4. Toypurina, the Tongva medicine woman's uprising. In 1785, as the Spanish mission system expanded across California, Toypurina emerged as a key figure of indigenous resistance. The missions, established in the late 18th century, aimed to convert and assimilate native populations, a process often accompanied by forced labor, cultural suppression, and the spread of disease. The San Gabriel Archangel Mission, founded in 1771, became a focal point of this resistance. The lives of the Tongva people, also known as Gabrielino, in the Los Angeles basin, were profoundly disrupted by this system. Spanish priests occupied lands, prohibited traditional cultural and spiritual practices, and compelled indigenous people into forced labor. The prohibition of sacred ceremonies was a form of cultural violence, directly threatening the Tongva identity. Toypurina, a respected medicine woman wielding significant spiritual influence, rose against the suppression. Her role as a spiritual leader afforded her credibility and trust within her community. She utilized this influence to rally 6 neighboring villages, formulating a plan to overthrow Spanish authority at the San Gabriel Mission. Though she did not bear arms in the conventional sense, her leadership was central to the planned insurrection. Her power was perceived to stem from her spiritual authority and the righteousness of their cause. The uprising aimed to reclaim the San Gabriel mission. It was believed that Toypurina could use her spiritual influence to neutralize the Spanish forces. Her authority was deeply rooted in her status as a medicine, woman, and spiritual guide. In the oppressive context of the mission system, which attacked both Tongva land and beliefs, spiritual and cultural leadership became potent sources of resistance. Toypurina represented the continuity of these besieged traditions. Her ability to unify these villages underscored their faith in her spiritual capabilities. The planned revolt was compromised, likely due to a leak of information or betrayal, leading to Toypurina's capture and trial. During interrogation, she declared her animosity towards the Spanish priests and soldiers for occupying her ancestral lands. Some records quote her more extensively. "I came to fight because I hate the priests and all of you, for living here on my native soil, for trespassing upon the land of my forefathers, and despoiling our tribal domains." This testimony was a powerful assertion of indigenous rights and a direct condemnation of colonization. Even in captivity, she refused to be silenced, embodying a spirit of continued resistance. Following the trial, Toypurina was exiled to the San Carlos Borromeo mission in Carmel. There, she was forcibly baptized, given the name Regina Josefa, and compelled to marry a Spanish soldier. She spent the remainder of her life separated from her people and homeland. This outcome reflected Spanish tactics aimed at fracturing indigenous resistance and eroding cultural identity. Toypurina's legacy, despite the uprising's failure and her tragic end, endures as a testament to her courage and indomitable spirit. She is remembered across California as a resilient woman who dared to confront a powerful empire. She symbolizes early Native Californian resistance against the mission system. Her story has been revitalized by scholars, activists, and Tongva descendants, ensuring recognition of indigenous history and contributions. Her life demonstrates that being a warrior does not solely depend on wielding weapons, but can also be defined by a strong voice, courage, and love for one's people. 5. Kalista, the Yakama warrior and healer. Kalista lived and fought in 1858, during the conflicts between indigenous peoples and the United States Army in the Pacific Northwest. This period in the mid-19th century was characterized by the westward expansion of the United States, leading to increased conflict. The Yakama War, 1855 to 1858, itself stemmed from a disputed treaty and the encroachment of gold miners and settlers onto Yakama lands. Kalista was a medicine woman of the Yakama people, likely possessing knowledge of traditional healing and ceremonies, which afforded her a significant spiritual standing. She was also the wife of Chief Pamakin, a prominent leader in organizing a tribal alliance against the United States. This placed her at the center of the resistance efforts. In 1858, as the war escalated, Kalista chose the path of a combatant. Armed with a war club, she rode alongside her husband Pamakin when the U.S. Army advanced into Yakama territory. At the Battle of Four Lakes on the 1st of September, 1858, near present-day Spokane, Washington, the Yakama forces were at a disadvantage due to the U.S. military's superior long-range weaponry and firepower. Kalista, dressed in her finest deerskin attire, with her hair neatly tied, rode into the fray. This act was a symbolic display of her resolve to fight for her land, family, tribe, and traditional way of life. During the battle, Chief Pamakin was severely wounded by shrapnel. Kalista rode to his side, extricated him from the battlefield under fire, and subsequently used her healing skills to save his life. This act was a profound demonstration of her courage and devotion. Returning for a wounded individual under such conditions required immense bravery and skill. Her courage in this instance significantly altered the immediate outcome for her husband's survival. Kalista uniquely combined the roles of warrior and healer, demonstrating that these roles were not mutually exclusive for Yakima women. She engaged in combat as a warrior with her war club, executed a perilous rescue, and then employed her medicinal knowledge to save her husband's life. This seamless transition between roles highlighted the holistic nature of her contributions. Even though the Battle of Four Lakes ended in defeat for the Yakima alliance, Kalista's actions secured the survival of a key leader. Her individual bravery had a significant micro-strategic impact within a larger strategic loss. Pamakin, severely wounded, faced the risk of being killed or captured. Kalista's direct intervention saved his life. His survival potentially allowed him to continue leading or inspiring his people. Her story, likely preserved in Yakima oral tradition, serves as an example of loyalty and heroism. Her legacy stands as a symbol of fierce love, loyalty, and extraordinary courage, reminding that Indigenous women were integral to, not just supportive of, their people's struggles. Kuusi, Bumpala, Woman Chief. The Crow Leader. Bumpala, whose name translates to Good Kind Woman, or Woman Hero, was known to white traders and trappers as Woman Chief. She was not Crow by birth. She was taken from the Gros-Ventre tribe around the age of 10. She subsequently became part of the Crow people, though accounts vary as to whether she was adopted, escaped, or was captured and then integrated. She assimilated into Crow society. Her rise from captivity to a position of prominence indicated her exceptional abilities and adaptability. From a young age, Bumpala displayed considerable physical strength and a strong will. She learned to ride horses, hunt, and engage in combat alongside Crow boys, often excelling beyond them. By her early 20s, she was leading her own war parties, conducting raids, and defending the Crow against the Blackfoot. In one notable engagement, she personally led a charge and returned with enemy horses, a significant mark of martial success. The Crow people formally recognized her as a chief, granting her the authority to speak in council and lead warriors. She was ranked third among the chiefs of her band within the council. This recognition demonstrated the Crow's acceptance of female leadership based on merit and ability. Bumpala also had multiple wives, 4 in total, similar to male chiefs, and managed her own lodge with full honors. This reflected a flexibility in Crow gender roles and social structures, or an acceptance of her unique individual status. In this aspect, she assumed the social role typically associated with a man. Her voice carried weight in council, and her reputation on the battlefield inspired fear in her enemies. Her story highlights the considerable adaptability of Crow social structures and gender roles. Her advancement was predicated on her capabilities and bravery, allowing her to transcend conventional gender barriers. She demonstrated skills typically associated with men, and her successes led to official recognition. Assuming the social privileges of a male chief further solidified her distinctive position, indicating that personal achievement could supersede rigid gender norms. Bumpala was killed in an ambush by the Gros-Ventre in 1854. Ironically, the Gros-Ventre may have been her tribe of origin. Some accounts suggest she was attempting to establish peace at the time of her death. If she perished during a peace mission, it adds a layer of tragic complexity to her role and final efforts, underscoring the dangers of intertribal diplomacy and the precarious position of a warrior seeking peace among divided factions. Her story did not end with her death. She is remembered as one of the few Indigenous women formally recognized as a war chief. She lived with courage and led with wisdom, demonstrating that strength and leadership are not confined by gender. 7. Pitamakan, Running Eagle, the Blackfoot Warrior. Pitamakan, also known as Running Eagle, was a Blackfoot woman from the region of present-day Montana. From a young age, she displayed a preference for activities traditionally associated with boys, such as hunting and war games, rather than conventional female roles. Her father supported her inclinations, teaching her horsemanship, combat techniques, and survival skills. This familial support was crucial in allowing her to pursue a non-traditional path, indicating a degree of flexibility within her community regarding gender roles. Pitamakan actively sought out training in warrior skills, demonstrating a strong sense of determination. A pivotal moment in her life occurred during a bison hunt when her hunting party was attacked by an enemy tribe. Instead of retreating, Pitamakan charged into the battle and saved her father's life. This act of bravery and skill was a turning point, earning her a place among the warriors. It was after this, or a similar display of courage or a spiritual experience, that she likely received the name Running Eagle. The name itself is significant, combining the speed and agility of running with the vision, power, and sacred status of the eagle. The Blackfoot tribe recognized Pitamakan's courage and permitted her to join war parties. She dedicated herself to training, fought with tenacity, and led numerous raids to recover stolen horses and protect her people. One legendary raid involved her single-handedly infiltrating an enemy camp, capturing 11 horses, and escaping unharmed, a feat that significantly enhanced her reputation across the plains. She adopted male warrior attire, including war paint, participated in sacred warrior ceremonies, and led her own war parties, which was an almost unprecedented achievement for a woman. Her participation in these sacred ceremonies signified full acceptance of her warrior role within the tribe. According to tradition, she received spiritual power from the sun god following a vision quest. Some accounts also suggest she chose a life of celibacy to maintain her spiritual power. Her career was thus shaped by a combination of innate talent, familial support, spiritual validation, and community acceptance. For a woman to assume a warrior role, it typically required a convergence of personal aptitude, societal permission, and spiritual affirmation. Pitamakan possessed a natural inclination, received training from her father, proved her courage and skill, and, according to legend, underwent a vision quest that conferred spiritual legitimacy and power. The tribe then formally acknowledged her status, allowing her to participate in and lead war parties. Pitamakan garnered profound respect and admiration within her tribe. Male warriors respected her, elders honored her, and younger people viewed her as an exemplar. Her power was perceived as both physical and spiritual. This widespread respect indicates that she transcended gender barriers, being judged on her qualities and achievements. Pitamakan perished in battle while leading a raid, possibly against the Flathead tribe, reportedly while attempting to free captives. Her death in combat reinforced her warrior legacy. The memory of Running Eagle remains deeply embedded in Blackfoot history. She broke traditional barriers and led with courage, demonstrating that the essence of a warrior is defined by a valiant heart rather than gender. Her life challenged and reshaped societal expectations for women, thereby expanding the perceived possibilities for women within her culture. Although societal norms initially directed her towards conventional female roles, she chose a different path. Her success and recognition proved that these norms could be contested and overcome. Leading her own war party, an unheard-of accomplishment, serves as clear evidence of her boundary-breaking status. 8. Hinge, Hanging Cloud, the Ojibwe Warrior. Hinge, also known as Hanging Cloud, was born in the region of present-day Wisconsin. She was the daughter of Nanyahhei, beautifying bird, an influential Ojibwe chief. As a chief's daughter, she may have had certain privileges or early exposure to tribal affairs and warfare. From a young age, Hinge exhibited a strong spirit and remarkable willpower. She chose to take up the bow and arrow and accompany her father into conflict, rather than learn traditional domestic skills. This deliberate choice indicated a strong, independent personality. She was noted for her bravery and fearlessness in the face of danger. Kingekwe is recognized as the only known Ojibwe woman to achieve the status of a full-fledged warrior. This official recognition by her community was significant, implying both acknowledgement and honor. She painted her face for war, participated in raids, and defended her village against enemies, frequently the Dakota Sioux. In one fierce battle, she confronted and defeated a renowned Dakota warrior, who may have been a relative or another formidable adversary to protect her people. This specific engagement solidified her reputation and combat abilities. Subsequently, she was granted a seat in the War Council, where military decisions were made, indicating she was valued not only as a brave combatant, but also as a strategist. She carried weapons and earned honors typically reserved for the most distinguished male warriors. Her description as the only known Ojibwe woman warrior to achieve this status, and the respect she commanded, suggests an institutionalized acceptance of her role, possibly reflecting a degree of openness within Ojibwe culture for women to take on such roles based on capability. She was an active participant in warfare, recognized for her accomplishments. The only known distinction, while potentially a result of historical record gaps, still underscores her unique position. Male warriors within her tribe not only permitted her participation but genuinely respected her. This respect from her male peers demonstrated that her skill and courage transcended gender-based prejudices. Hinge became a symbol of pride for the Ojibwe people, a reminder that strength and bravery can reside in anyone willing to fight for their community. In her later years, Hinge lived a relatively quiet life on the Lac-Court O'Reilly's reservation in Wisconsin. She married Edward Dingley, Talus, and had children. Her life as a wife and mother did not diminish her warrior legacy, but rather illustrated the multifaceted nature of her existence. Her warrior spirit did not fade. The story of her life and her martial achievements continue to be recounted in Wisconsin, passed down through generations. This oral tradition serves as a reminder that courage is not dependent on physical form, gender, or name, but is expressed through actions and will. The persistence of her story in oral tradition is a testament to its cultural importance. Her legacy is not solely about her brave deeds, but also about the power of these narratives to endure and be transmitted. Her warrior spirit remains vibrant because her story continues to be told, highlighting the role of oral tradition in preserving memory and cultural values. 9. Buffalo Calf Roadwoman, the Cheyenne heroine of the Rosebud. Buffalo Calf Roadwoman, also known as Brave Woman, was a Northern Cheyenne woman who played a significant role in 1876 during the peak of the Great Sioux War. This conflict arose as the United States government attempted to force the Lakota Sioux and Northern Cheyenne onto reservations. A key underlying cause was the discovery of gold in the Black Hills, which violated the Fort Laramie Treaty of 1868. On the 17th of June, 1876, at the Battle of the Rosebud in Montana, Buffalo Calf Roadwoman rode into history. During the engagement, her brother, comes in sight, was wounded, his horse shot from under him, leaving him stranded. As the Cheyenne and Lakota warriors began to fall back, Buffalo Calf Roadwoman turned her horse and rode alone through a hail of gunfire to reach her brother and bring him to safety. This act of extraordinary courage had a profound psychological impact on the Indigenous warriors, reportedly changing the course of the battle. Inspired by her bravery, the Cheyenne and Lakota warriors regrouped and managed to push back General George Crook's forces. The Battle of the Rosebud was strategically significant because it effectively halted Crook's advance and prevented him from joining forces with Lieutenant Colonel George Armstrong Custer, thereby contributing to the subsequent Lakota, Cheyenne, and Arapaho victory at the Battle of the Little Bighorn. Her action was not merely a personal rescue. It served as a critical catalyst, boosting morale at a pivotal moment. The Cheyenne referred to this battle as the battle where the girl saved her brother. Her bravery directly translated into a tactical and morale advantage for the indigenous forces. When her brother was isolated and warriors were retreating, morale was likely diminishing. Her bold action provided a powerful example, inspiring other warriors to rally and repel the U.S. Army. A few days later, on the 25th of June -26, 1876, Buffalo Calf Roadwoman was present at the Battle of the Little Bighorn, where Custer and his 7th Cavalry Regiment were defeated. According to Cheyenne oral history, she is credited with striking one of the decisive blows against Custer, possibly knocking him from his horse with a club or piece of wood, contributing to the tide turning against his command. While various accounts of Custer's demise exist, the acknowledgement of her role in Cheyenne oral tradition is significant. It underscores the active participation of women in this famous battle. Her husband, Black Coyote, also fought bravely in both engagements. Buffalo Calf Roadwoman fought not for personal glory, but for her family, the honor of her tribe, and the survival of the Cheyenne Nation. Buffalo Calf Roadwoman passed away at a young age, likely due to illness contracted after the wars. Her name and deeds live on, and she is remembered as a great warrior. Her story is an integral part of the Cheyenne narrative of the Plains Wars. The Cheyenne oral history that records her role in both the Rosebud and Little Bighorn battles highlights the importance of recognizing women's contributions to these historical events. The Battle of the Little Bighorn was a resounding indigenous victory. Mainstream historical accounts often focus primarily on male participants. Cheyenne oral tradition, however, specifically identifies women who played crucial roles. This indicates that within the Cheyenne perspective, women were active and influential participants. 10. Lozen, the Apache Shield and Seer. Lozen was born around the 1840s in the southwestern United States, a member of the Chihenne-Chiricahua Apache. Her people were engaged in a continuous struggle to protect their homelands. She was the sister of the renowned Apache leader Victorio, who regarded her as his right hand, describing her as strong as a man, braver than most, and cunning in strategy. From a young age, Lozen exhibited exceptional talents. She was not only a courageous warrior proficient with a rifle but also possessed a spiritual ability. She could sense the movement of enemies through prayer. By extending her arms with palms upturned and praying to Usin, the Apache creator, she could detect the enemy's proximity. If her palms tingled and changed color, the enemy was near in that direction. This precise precognitive ability was invaluable for the survival of Victorio's band, helping them avoid ambushes and granting her a special, almost sacred status. Some accounts also credit her with healing abilities. During Victorio's leadership of the Apache resistance against forced relocation to reservations, particularly the San Carlos Reservation, Lozen was consistently by his side. She fulfilled multiple roles: a skilled scout, a brave warrior, and a protector of women and children. One of her most notable actions involved leading a small group of women and children across hundreds of miles of the perilous Chihuahua Desert. Evading Mexican and U.S. soldiers, she guided them across the flood-swollen Rio Grande to the Sierra Madre in Mexico. Armed with only a rifle and her courage, she protected them and ensured their survival. She single-handedly killed cattle for meat and raided a Mexican cavalry camp for horses, ammunition, and firearms. Following Victorio's demise at the Battle of Tres Castillos in 1880, Lozen did not succumb to despair. She continued to fight, joining forces with Geronimo and the elder chief Nana. Lozen's reputation and fearsomeness were such that even the U.S. Army regarded her with apprehension. She rode into battle like a whirlwind, evading bullets and never flinching. She became known as a shield to her people. Her physical strength and combat skills were matched by her indomitable spirit and loyalty. Lozen exemplified the coexistence and complementary nature of spiritual power and fighting ability. Her capacity to feel the enemy was as critical as her proficiency with firearms. Both contributed to her indispensable role. For the Apache, facing a numerically superior enemy, accurate intelligence was paramount. Lozen's spiritual gifts provided a unique and reliable source of intelligence. This combination of skills and bravery made her an invaluable asset, reflecting a worldview where the spiritual and practical were inseparable, especially in wars of survival. Lozen was captured with Geronimo's 11. Gouyen, the Apache Avenger. Gouyen, whose Apache name Gouyen Fanye, means wise woman, or she who is wise, was a legendary Apache figure, likely Chiricahua or Mescalero. Her renown stemmed not from her lineage, but from her refusal to let fear dictate her life after a devastating personal loss. In the mid-19th century, a period of frequent Apache-Comanche conflict, her husband was killed during a Comanche raid, and the Comanche chief took his scalp as a trophy. Faced with this profound loss, Gouyen did not grieve passively, but meticulously planned a daring act of personal retribution. This personal tragedy became a powerful motivator. Dressed in her finest ceremonial deerskin attire, or, according to some accounts, disguised in stolen Comanche clothing, Gouyen infiltrated a Comanche victory celebration alone. The Comanche chief who had killed her husband was celebrating, wearing her husband's scalp at his belt. Waiting for an opportune moment, she lured the chief away from the main campfire, possibly by feigning attraction or inviting him to dance. Once they were alone, she quickly dispatched him, using either his own knife or one she carried, scalped him, and retrieved her husband's scalp. She then rode away on the chief's horse, carrying the evidence of her justice and restored honor. This act required extraordinary courage, infiltration skills, dissimulation, and decisive action. Penetrating a large enemy camp was exceptionally dangerous. In intertribal warfare, scalps held significant symbolic meaning. Retrieving her husband's scalp and taking that of his killer was a powerful act of restoring honor and exacting vengeance. This act of vengeance marked the beginning of Gouyen's career as a warrior. She subsequently joined other Apache warriors in numerous raids and battles, fighting alongside her second husband, known as Medicine Water or Katenai. She rode into combat, survived ambushes, and helped her people resist forced relocation to reservations. Even amidst loss and hardship, her fighting spirit remained unbroken. After her personal retribution, she channeled her courage and skills towards the protection of her community. Her act of vengeance appeared to unleash or solidify her latent strength, which she then directed towards communal defense, illustrating her capacity for recovery and transforming grief into purposeful action. Gouyen turned her loss into a focused determination for revenge. Its successful execution brought personal justice and likely enhanced her status and recognition. She then applied her skills to the broader Apache struggle. Gouyen was among the Apache captured with Geronimo and exiled to Florida and then Alabama. She survived her imprisonment and passed away at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, in 1903. The image of Gouyen infiltrating an enemy camp alone, exacting justice, and returning safely is a potent symbol of autonomy, resourcefulness, and individual capacity to confront adversity and reclaim honor. Her actions challenged the notion that justice or vengeance could only be achieved through collective effort or by men. She took personal initiative in a situation where communal action might not have been immediate. 12. Dahteste, the Apache Warrior and Diplomat. Dahteste was active during the final years of the Apache resistance against the United States in the late 19th century. She belonged to the Chokonen band of the Chiricahua Apache, the same group as Cochise. She was a close companion and confidante of Lozen and fought alongside Geronimo. Despite her youth, she participated actively in the resistance. Dahteste survived the wars and subsequent imprisonment, passing away in 1955 on the Mescalero Apache Reservation in New Mexico, serving as one of the last living links to those days of conflict. Dahteste's roles were diverse. She was not only a warrior, but also a skilled scout, a shrewd informant, and an astute negotiator. She rode and fought alongside Geronimo and Lozen, was proficient with a rifle, skilled at riding at high speeds through difficult terrain, and an adept tracker. She participated in numerous Apache war parties and raids. Frequently, she served as a crucial messenger and interpreter between the Apache and the U.S. military. Her fluency in English, and possibly Spanish, made her an invaluable intermediary. She was not only articulate, but also a brave combatant, an intelligence gatherer, and a participant in planning escapes. When Geronimo negotiated his final surrender to General Nelson Miles in 1886, Dahteste was present. She played an important role in facilitating communication between the two sides, and was reportedly the one who carried Geronimo's message of surrender. She and another Apache woman, possibly Apache May, were chosen to approach Geronimo to persuade him to surrender. Her multifaceted abilities as a warrior, scout, linguist, and negotiator reflected the adaptive skills developed by Apache individuals, particularly women, for survival. Her role as a valued intermediary was based on her linguistic capabilities and the trust she inspired. In a conflict fraught with misunderstandings, Dahteste's ability to facilitate dialogue was critically important. For her, fighting also encompassed the use of intellect, language, and diplomatic skills. Her participation in the surrender negotiations demonstrated courage and a commitment to her people's survival, seeking a less bloody resolution. Despite her courage, loyalty, and role in the negotiations, Dahteste was arrested and imprisoned as a prisoner of war for many years. She was exiled to Florida and Alabama, far from her homeland. Even during her imprisonment, she maintained her spirit and dignity. After surviving years of captivity, she was eventually allowed to return to the Southwest and lived on the Mescalero Reservation. Her long life created a direct link between the past and the present, aiding in the transmission of stories and memories. She was not merely a historical figure, but a carrier of memory, a storyteller, and a witness to profound changes. These women, through diverse actions and unwavering spirit, carved their names into the annals of history, often against overwhelming odds. Their contributions highlight the varied and vital roles Indigenous women played in the defense of their people and ways of life. If these stories of courage and leadership have moved you, please consider subscribing to our channel, liking this video, and leaving a comment below.